Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. I want to talk about the main news that all of the mainstream media is talking about today, and then the kind of redacted or censored angle about it. So I'm going to start off by talking about something that, yes, is on every, which is not normal. I don't normally talk about a story that's on every news network, but I'm going to do that for the beginning and then you'll see why. And by the way, if you're seeing this right now, please share it. This video, all my stuff is heavily suppressed, so please share it, like it, comment, say hello. All right, so the main news story on all the mainstream media right now is that there are now recordings from Bob Woodward and coming out in his new book as well, stuff about how Donald Trump knew as far back as like January and February that COVID-19, the coronavirus, was going to be incredibly deadly, incredibly awful, worse than the flu, et cetera, et cetera. And he knew. So he wasn't just dumb. I think a lot of people were like, well, he just didn't know. He wasn't very bright. He doesn't know what's going on. So he thought this would be like the flu and it'd be fine. But it turns out that he did know. And there's tape recordings of the phone calls where he says to Woodward, oh, it's very deadly, it's very awful, but I'm going to play it down. So that's the mainstream media. And the mainstream media is understandably, like, that should piss you off. That should, yes, all the politicians are incredibly corrupt and all that shit, but that should still piss you off. That you should still be like, how fucking dare he know that this is going to kill a lot of people and be like, yeah, fucking go make out with people. That's cool. Just go. It doesn't matter. Go have a good time. That's what the big thing. And so, these networks, CNN, MSNBC, are saying, what a horrific thing for a president to do, to know that this many people are going to die and that this thing's deadly and to act like it's not a big deal. Horrible. Absolutely. I agree. But here's the thing that I feel like is the elephant in the room that none of them want to mention, is that an actual deadlier thing, an actually a more harmful thing to America, a more harmful threat, a threat that will absolutely, without a doubt, kill more people in America and kill more people worldwide. That threat is sitting there and it's in our faces and we can all see it. And the leaders and the politicians, they all know, and they're playing it down or ignoring it or not talking about it. Same with our media. And that threat is climate change. And in the past week or 2 weeks, we've seen some of the craziest examples of climate chaos so far. California, I'm sure some of you right now are out in California. It's some of it is very on fire. It's like the worst fire season they've ever seen. And last year was the worst fire season they'd ever seen. And the one before that was the worst fire season they've ever seen. Are you starting to hear a trend? And it is insane the amount of fire that's going on in California, Oregon. I mean, these places will be desert in a matter of years if it keeps up like this. San Francisco, I don't know if some of you are probably in San Francisco. Some of you may have seen the photos. It's a dark orange sky because of the ash in the air. Someone posted it as the day the sun never rose or whatever, it was night all day, et cetera, et cetera. It's dark orange in San Francisco right now. It's disgusting. I mean, in terms of what we're doing to this planet. And then you have in Utah, the winds have gotten so high that they're literally blowing over tractor trailers on the highway. And these are not during some storm. This is not a tornado. This is just the winds during high winds. And that you can watch a video at like weatherchannel.com or whatever the fuck of trailers just flipping over on the highway in Utah today. Because the winds got up to like 90 miles per hour. And they're flipping over in the same spot, meaning this is not just some unusual thing that happened to one trailer, and this is happening to many of them. Tractor trailers flipping over, people getting injured and killed by it. And then in Denver, I believe, or somewhere in Colorado, within a 1 to 2 day span, they went from summer weather, like 90 degrees, or I don't know, 80s or something, down to where it snowed. It was like a 50-degree swing or something, and it snowed in the same place it was like 80 the day before. It's fucking crazy. And so all of this is going on. It's in our faces, and they're playing it down. They're acting like we're going to be fine. They're acting like it's okay. We're not going to be fine. It's not okay. Things are not okay out there. You get it? And climate change, no matter how you want to look at COVID-19, even if you want to say it keeps getting worse and we don't deal with it at all and millions are dead, that'll still be less than the number that'll die from catastrophic climate change. You've got hundreds of thousands dying from a lot of these things right now from climate change. So COVID-19 is horrible, but it's not comparing to so here's Mary saying she's in Colorado, saying it went from 108 degrees to 29 degrees. So there's some anecdotal evidence for you. And these same politicians, these same media networks that are running around saying Donald Trump played down the threat of COVID-19, they're doing the exact fucking same thing with climate change. There are reports on CNN about climate change, but they're not covering it like they are Donald Trump. They're not covering it like they are, that Donald Trump diddled a porn star and then paid her off to shut up. That story got 24/7 coverage, right? You don't see climate change getting 24/7 coverage. In fact, climate change coverage has gone down this year because all the coverage has been devoted to COVID-19. They're not covering it in the same way. And people love to point to but look at this CNN report called Climate and Chaos. It's like, yes, they have those reports, but they're not pounding away. The only way the way you manufacture consent for war from the American people, or you could manufacture consent for doing something about climate change, is to pound away at the story over and over and over again. And they don't do that. They may mention it here or there. The other day, I heard a sports announcer mention climate change. Oh my God, aren't we going in a real advanced place there? We've gotten to the point that even a sports announcer had one mention of climate change. It's just, obviously this doesn't even include these are the more obvious things. Like you can see Trump flipping over so obviously. You can see California on fire so obviously. It's in your face. It's clear. San Francisco is fucking choking on ash. It's so clear. But there's so much about climate change that is more subtle, right? It is crops dying. It is droughts. It is people just not having quite enough water. It is the brush seems a little dry for a couple of years, and you're like, wow, it seems a little dry. And then the fucking fire burns, and you're like, oh, that must be because it was so dry. So watching CNN and MSNBC and all of them run around to go, Trump knew and he didn't do anything. It's like, yeah, he's a fucking awful, horrible, ignorant troglodyte. He's a fucking fascist. But also, you guys are doing the exact same thing with climate change, which is a greater threat to humanity, a greater threat in terms of the number of people that will die on this planet. Another example is Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, gave a statement about how climate change is here. Everyone can see it. Look how horrible it is, blah, blah, blah. And Movement for a People's Party had a great tweet where they said that Gavin Newsom has approved something like 350 new fracking events. So this guy is approving fracking while he's complaining about climate change and saying how horrible climate change is. You can't have it both ways. You can't be in bed with corporate big oil and give them everything they want and also say, oh yeah, climate change. You get one or the other. Pick one. Pick a choice. And this is classic. This is all your neoliberal, neocon politicians, the ones that will occasionally talk about climate change, say how dire the threat is. They're also aligning themselves with corporate oil, and obviously there's other entities, not just oil, that is destroying the planet. Amazon is horrific. Their business model is they burn hundreds of thousands of products. Or trash them in a landfill because they couldn't sell them on a monthly basis You think that's good for the planet? I mean, there's so many companies that are trashing the planet while saying, oh, climate change is a threat. You can't have it both ways. You also need to talk about capitalism, the idea of infinite growth on a finite planet. If you aren't having that discussion, then you're not actually doing much about climate change. If you're not actually having the discussion about an economic system that is built on extracting every last resource, gobbling it up, and shitting out a hellhole, then you're not really having the true discussion that needs to be had. So anyway, I just wanted to say how similar it is that all of our media, all of our politicians are playing down the threat of climate change. They know that the effects are here. They know how extremely horrible it is. To some degree, they know. And they're fucking not talking about it. Or they'll give one speech every now and again that goes, it's a big deal, everyone should pay attention. And then they go back to helping out big oil and cashing big oil checks. It's incredibly similar to what's happening today, what the news story is of today, which is Donald Trump knew about COVID-19, didn't do shit about it. Yeah, are we shocked? He's a fucking horrible, narcissistic, fascist man-child. But until you talk about big oil and capitalism, you aren't really having a discussion. Okay, guys, I hope you share this, and I hope you pass it along. I am doing these every single weekday, except sometimes. You can print it on a T-shirt. And you can always get them at leecamp.com. So if you miss one, if you don't know if you saw it or not, just go over to leecamp.com, watch the new episode, get the breaking news of the day. And you can watch my free comedy special. You can go watch it right now, leecamp.american.com. Go enjoy an hour of stand-up comedy on these same topics. All right, keep fighting.